All right, Ryan, it's time for some Turtle Talk.
Yeah, some show and tell.
That's right.
Well, also, next week we'll be reviewing the first 2 wins in the NCAA tournament.
I hope so.
Yeah, so that's just tune in for that.
Well, the team didn't shit the bed quite as bad as I thought in the Big Ten tournament. You know, they had the first round matchup with Michigan State. We talked about the team being worn down and being tired and how are they going to do in that game. Well, they came out and played a very impressive game against Michigan State and won that first round.
Yeah, we played Michigan State, took them down, and then finished off the state of Michigan, even though we couldn't end the game.
Yeah.
So we kind of broke this down again, good, bad, ugly, so
Yeah.
we got a couple games to cover. Eric Ayala broke out of that shooting slump. The reason we lost the 2 games was Eric Ayala was on no-show.
Yeah. Eric, he was the big reason for us being in both of these games.
He led the Terps in scoring both nights, 21 points against Michigan State, 19 points against Michigan. Looked like his old self. Looked like he had been doing most of the year. I don't know why he fell off the map
right
there against 2 not very good teams at the end of the season, but looked pretty good.
Yeah. And then you got, again, the big X factor with Michigan State, right, is Izzo, right, and him being more prepared and having his teams more prepared as we get closer to tournament time and all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't know if Turge has something on Izzo or he's figured out Izzo's coaching, schemes or what, but he's had his card these last couple years and played really, really well against Michigan State this year.
Yeah, he took down Michigan State twice. Michigan State, who averages 69 points a game, was held to 55 and 57 by the Terps in their 2 games. That's pretty dang good, especially in a season where we've mostly just played the Big Ten.
Right.
So that average is not bloated by Michigan State playing a bunch of cupcakes.
Right.
So I found that pretty interesting. And with 2 totally different game plans. I mean, you remember that game 1. Basically, what it was we avoided the offensive rebounds.
Yep.
If the ball went off someone's fingers, team bailed out. That
no second chance points.
It gave you a 3 to 5 second head start,
Yep.
and you had a set defense they had to play against, which was genius.
Right.
I don't know how giving up every rebound in the game worked, but it worked wonders.
Yep.
And in this game, they didn't. They hit it every once in a while. It was one of those things like Jeremy Kahn talked about last week. They got into it and they got out of it, so they couldn't get used to it.
Right.
2 offensive rebounds in the first game and 10 offensive rebounds in the second game. So they really went back to it.
Right. And the other thing with that Michigan State game that was a little opposite of the way the Terps usually play, especially when they're going to lose a game, is usually when they're going to lose a game, they come out strong. They usually take a 10-point lead or whatever. Well, they fell behind by, what was it, 12 or 13. I texted you and I said,
like, this game's going to be ugly. I'm like, hey, at least we're trying something different. Just calm down.
And thank God for that text, because right after I text you that, everything changed.
Turned around. We couldn't figure out what Texas sent against Michigan, though.
Yeah,
I don't know what it wasn't working.
I avoided the text during that game at all.
So let's talk Michigan game then.
Yeah.
First 15 minutes of the Michigan game was the best basketball they played all year long.
It was.
Michigan's a 1 seed, and we were leading by as many as 12 points for the first 15 minutes.
Yep. And you should have known that this was going to go bad when they play that well that early.
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We've been running out to these leads. We've been holding people early, and it just falls apart. And who wants to just avoid that? But it almost feels like we have to.
I know.
This team plays as underdogs, and when they're not, and somehow they convince themselves they're not underdogs in the first 10 minutes, apparently.
Yeah.
And just fall apart.
Yeah, I don't know if it was adjustments that, Michigan made. Now, granted, listen, Michigan's one of the best teams in the country, not just one of the best teams in the conference. They're one of the best teams in the country. They're going to beat you up with the size that they have down low, and that was part of this. They're going to get a lot of second chance opportunities. They're going to get a lot of defensive rebounds. They're going to dominate you down low. And eventually, once Maryland started to cool off, because honestly, they were shooting on a clip. I think they were shooting, when they had that 15-point lead, they were like 70% from the field.
68% from the field.
Yeah, at that point. And you knew that they were going to come back down to earth after that. But Michigan stayed consistent throughout the entire game.
Yeah, Michigan erased that lead to a 2-point lead in the first half and just kept going from there.
Yeah.
So that takes us to the bad from the games. No late game production continues.
Yep.
So just because they weren't tired of the Michigan State game does not mean they weren't tired by the fourth quarter of Michigan State game or the fourth quarter, the second half of the first. Why don't we just play quarters in college basketball?
I've never understood it.
It doesn't make any sense.
I've never understood it.
Everybody else plays it. Just go back to
even the women's game's quarters.
The women's, everyone but men's college basketball. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
It's got to be a TV thing. It's got to be these timeouts. It's got
right.
But outscored 10-3 in the final 5 minutes versus MSU and outscored 12-5 in the final 5 minutes versus Michigan. We just aren't deep enough.
Yeah,
and that's where that
run into.
7-man
rotation comes into play. You just don't have the depth, and you get tired. And they spent, all their energy, especially when you play back-to-back like that.
Yeah. After Lundy had that showing against us for 31 points in Penn State, more unexpected people having big games. Malik Hall for MSU averages just 5 points in 17 minutes per game. Thank God they didn't play him more because he had 19 points in 23 minutes. If they would have found that out a little earlier and left him on the court, we could have been in trouble. And then against Michigan, all 5'11" of Mike Smith.
That little
went
guy.
for a double-double. Looks like Ezekiel Elliott out there.
Yeah, it looks like a miniature Ezekiel Elliott, though, man. And he is just, even Mark Turgeon talked about it after the game. Like, he is just super athletic. He's super quick. Pretty much everything that he threw up went in.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that guy's the real deal. He was a transfer, right?
Yeah, as a transfer. They doubled his average of 9 points to 18 and tripled his average assists from 5 to 15. He had a hell of a game for him.
Yeah, so not only was he scoring, he was getting everybody else involved.
Something that's not in the outline here, but just to mention I'd heard today, Mr. Lundy, who dropped 31 points on us, just entered the transfer portal. So, hey, bro, I won't hate you anymore. Come on down.
You look real good in red and black and gold.
You played super well in our building. Come on down.
Podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of show and tell.
All right, so we got to talk about the ugly from these two games. I think the ugliest part was the most entertaining part of these two games, anyway, at least for me. You had the Juwan Howard and the Turgeon shouting match, and I'm going to kill you, mother, or whatever happened. At least that's what the rumors were on Twitter, is what he said. What was your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, the fight didn't bother me as much as the post game. Like, because you can get a guy angry. That's not hard. Like, you're in the heat of the moment. You want your guys to win. You're like a father figure in this coaching role. So, like, you can get under somebody's skin, even if it's like something subtly innocent, like don't talk to me, because some people get really offended by dumb things. Like that's what Turgeon said. Don't talk to me. I'm not letting you talk to me. And he went off. Is what Turgeon says. Right. Of course, there's what Turgeon says. There's what Juwan Howard says, and then there's what actually happened.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, apparently this was an ongoing issue that's been going on the last couple of games because Turge apparently had already talked to the Big Ten commissioner about some of the comments I guess Juwan Howard's made in previous matchups.
Yeah, I mean, Juwan Howard and his little stepchild Dickinson over there, they wouldn't shut up in any of the games.
Dickinson.
Fuck Dickinson.
Yeah, I can't stand that dude.
And why in the Big Ten do you have a penis-named center to be any fucking good? You gotta have Cockbird and Dickinson.
Oh, man.
I don't understand. Where's our Schlong Johnson over here? We gotta get our new center.
And he's a local guy, right? This is the guy that was from Maryland.
This is the guy that whined and complained and said we didn't recruit him out of DeMatha.
Exactly.
He's completely full of shit. We offered him as a sophomore. We were all over it. He wanted to go away for school, which going away is not Maryland because it was literally 10 minutes from his fucking house. Yeah. So we stopped looking at him because he wanted to go away.
Right.
And so now he's offended. Also, this guy's freshman of the year. He turns 21 this year. What?
Super freshman.
Did you fail fifth grade twice? What are you doing?
No, he started school late, Ryan.
He was locked in a closet till he was 8?
He went on a mission.
Oh, jeez. Get out of here with that.
But he was throwing shade at Daryl Morcell with the whole defensive player of the year.
I have seen a lot of Mormons. That's a whine-ass, mean, fucking angry Mormon. That's not the way to do that. Holy God. He's threatening people on the court. That's not it.
But all in all, even after that.
Yeah, so the Juwan Howard thing that got me, I guess we kind of had sidetracked there, was the post-game interview. So the post-game interview, after he got kicked off the court, he's had 35 minutes to chill the fuck out and wait for media to show up.
Right.
He still goes out there, doesn't deflate it at all, says that, I don't know about you, I was raised by my grandmother and Chicago. I was raised on the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
Is this a head coach speaking?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, I did not think in any way, shape, or form they needed to fine that man until that. I thought for sure the Big Ten was going to be like, bro, chill out. I knew it wasn't going to hurt his recruiting because the 18-year-old kids are going to love that shit. They're going to go to Michigan. But I really thought the Big Ten would be like, hey, let's not like make threats in a... Like, what is I was raised by the south side of Chicago means? It means I know how to fucking handle myself and I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like,
you can take Juwan out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of Juwan. Exactly.
Yeah, there's no other way to say that.
Yeah.
Like, So how did they just let him get away with it? I have no idea. But that's what Turgeon's anger was, is that he had been complaining all year and the Big Ten was doing nothing.
And to that point, if he's saying that kind of stuff to the media,
in person 35 minutes later, what's he saying to the players and coaches?
Exactly.
You won the game too.
Exactly.
And you were with a lead.
Shut up.
And I'm usually pretty good at, and then I not that I can read lips professionally or anything. I'm usually pretty good at being able to read lips, but when they've got masks on, obviously that makes that difficult. So I'm like really intrigued to know what was said. I've never seen Turgeon get that fired up. I mean, he went on a beeline. Yeah.
Probably not a goddamn thing. It's just someone who has a little bit of a complex and has a little bit of a power right now, and he's on one of these teams and something goes wrong a little bit ways, and he wants to stretch out nothing. Like you said, 35 minutes later after the game, you're still beefing for no reason.
I truly believe this was just that Juwan was already mad that he had been reported by Turgeon to the Big Ten on multiple occasions, and the Big Ten done nothing. So Turgeon had said, "You're not going to talk to me," because that's what the whole of the complaints was that players and coaches are not supposed to be communicating on the sidelines, nor are they supposed to be communicating from the floor to the opposing.
He was on the other side of the half court,
way outside the coaching box. And Dickinson, who I'm referring to on the floor, would literally after every bucket walk over towards Turge and talk at Turge and his bench. 100% he should have been teed up for that every time, and they should have done something about it. So it just built to this. I don't think there's any chance, by the way that we are matched up, that we will get to an Elite Eight to see these guys again. But holy crap, would that be a game?
We have been dying for some sort of rivalry ever since we left the ACC. Like, we have no rivalry in the Big Ten.
I got one.
Maybe we finally found one.
I will be, if they let fans back in, I promise you, no matter what these tickets are, I will be at every Michigan game until Dickinson graduates.
100%. All right, well, listen, so it didn't end there with the Terps. You know, even though we had to hold our breath through the whole bracketology selection committee show and all that stuff, it didn't happen until literally the last portion of the last bracket. But the Terps do get into the NCAA tournament. They ended up being a 10 seed, which is what your prediction was going to be a 10 seed as well. But they end up drawing a matchup in what was one of Jeremy Kahn's, I guess, underdog teams, or a team to keep an eye on, as they got a first-round matchup with UConn.
Yeah, UConn, they got some serious guard play. They definitely have the ability to score in the backcourt. They do not have much front court talent. They're right there with us. So it's not one of those dominant big men that are just going to tear us apart. Though, again, we just played Michigan, and Dickinson only scored 6 points. It wasn't the dominant thing that he did the other two games. So they have figured out a little bit of something. Galen Smith's playing better, and Dante Scott has always been a good defensive option down the post. Not so much on the offensive side of the post. But
yeah, I mean, listen, I like UConn. They can score, like you said. They've got a good backcourt. But I think with Maryland's D, if they can garner enough energy to play 40 minutes of basketball, right, and they can actually play from start to finish, I think they can fare well in this game. I think they can hold their own and be in it at least until the end of the game. It's going to come down to shooting with both of these teams because, like you said, neither one of them are built to dominate down low.
Who scores 65?
Yeah, who scores 65 first? Will Aaron Wiggins be the Aaron Wiggins that we've seen of late, where he takes over a game like he should be doing because he's the best player on the court when he's out there?
And will Ayala come with him?
And will Ayala – exactly. You can't have Ayala going 2 for 12. If he goes 2 for 12, this team has got no chance of beating UConn, in my opinion.
I'm receiving text message from my cousin who's trash talking me in the.
I was wondering what you're like giggling about. I'm like, am I missing something?
Yeah, he said, "Well, how do I call into the show?" I said, "Just comment on the screen." So his comment is, "This guy on the right doesn't seem to like sports." Good job, Mike. I might not know sports like this one, but I think I kind of like them.
All right, man. Let's switch from the hard court over to the football field. And I know there's not a whole lot going on with the football squad, but I think the big story right now. And I don't know, in my opinion, I think this guy's got a better potential pro career than a couple of recent Terps that were drafted as running backs in the NFL. Jake Funk, man, he had his Maryland Pro Day the other day, and the numbers that he put up were absolutely insane.
Yep. 4.43 40, 38-yard vertical, which is absolutely insane.
Or 38 inch.
Yeah, 38 foot, man.
38
the first rounder. It is. We have marked there his foot. Yep.
Yeah.
10.2 broad jump, 22 reps at 225. 6.71 cone drill,
which is crazy,
which is really good.
Yeah.
You put these comparisons there. I'll let you.
Yeah.
do that.
So if you're looking at comparisons, right, on the vert jump specifically, Ezekiel Elliott was 32.5. His Funk's 38. Derrick Henry, pretty good back, 37-inch. Christian McCaffrey, 37-inch. So when you're comparing it to some of the better backs in the NFL right now,
Christian McCaffrey is kind of comparable on size and like what.
Didn't know where you were going with that.
And he's white. Is that where you were going?
I thought you were going.
I'm just saying, like, Christian McCaffrey was questioned whether he could be a lead back because of his size.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Funk's came in at 205, I believe.
I don't think he has an ounce of fat on his
body.
Oh, my.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you. I was going to put his picture up here.
I couldn't do it because I was like, I'm going to embarrass myself.
He took underwear Olympics to a whole new meaning. This dude literally ran in his underwear.
Yeah.
And he looked like a Greek god. Like, I don't know what. They need to rename the weight room after Jake Funk. I have no idea. This dude's been there 5 years, and he has used all 5 years to lift weights.
Yeah, well, that's just
the DK Metcalf of this year.
It's a family thing, though, man. I mean, his brother obviously has all the rehab
Dr.
facilities
Josh Funk
and all
is
that.
PT.
Yeah.
He was on the Shell and Tell show a couple of weeks ago.
This entire family has Division I football, college lacrosse,
all the way
background.
to grandma and grandpa were both Division I athletes.
Exactly. So, I mean, this started as a kid. You know, he's been bred for this moment. Now, granted, he's been through a lot of BS. I mean, he's had 2 really bad ACL tears in his career. So, for him to rehab twice through that, still come back and put up the kind of stats that he put up this past year. He needed to, right? Because he needed to be able to prove to scouts that he could still play, right? I'm not saying that Jake Funk is going to have a 10-year, like a Frank Gore type of career in the NFL. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think because of his football IQ, because of his athletic ability, because of the drive that he has up here, right? For him to go through that twice.
Coach Funk. Everyone went to him for the playbook and how to learn the offense.
I think that this guy on the right system, could have a very good NFL career. It might be short, and it might be only a 5-year career, but I think he can have a very productive 5 years.
There was a reason 20 scouts went to our 4-player pro day.
Yeah.
All we had was 4 players.
Yep.
So I think it was him. I mean, you look at the Patriots, that'd be a really interesting landing spot for him. They've had similar like positionless players, and they like the running back by committee. Obviously, could be used on special teams.
Is it because they like white running backs as well?
I mean, it's also just
joking with it.
No, but you look at a guy like Chris Hogan a couple years ago. He didn't even play college football, and he was their number 1 wide receiver. Yeah. Like they're out of box thinkers up there with the Patriots.
Yeah, no, I'll never question Bill Belichick and
Tampa Bay running back room. You got the history with TB12 again with the Patriot system. Kind of understands those kind of players. You got Mike
potentially
Allstott.
Losing Leonard Fournette, so they're going to have a hole there.
Yeah, you got the Mike Allstott history where you've seen like a similar just bulky fucking muscle bound godlike figure running over people.
Right.
So it'd be interesting.
49ers, I think, might makes a lot of sense down there too. Obviously, they've got kind of a running back by committee down there. They don't really have that one dominant back. Kyle Juszczyk just obviously signed a big deal down there. I think a 5-year deal.
Yeah, I'd update the notes. So my notes originally in this week said Kyle Juszczyk replacement, and then they re-signed him for 5 years, and I'm like, Kyle Juszczyk understudy.
So you think he'd be more used as a fullback kind of hybrid?
I think he could absolutely play that. We talked on the Shell and Tell podcast with his brother. Like his short yardage was missed strongly in that Temple game. We win that Temple game with him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Instead of running Anthony McFarland at the 1-yard line 3 times.
Right.
You know, that's not. Anthony McFarland's really good. That's not his bag. You look at those legs; they can move you 1 yard.
Well, let's get an early draft prediction out there. Where do you see him being drafted, or do you not see him being drafted? You see him being signed as an undrafted free agent?
I think he'll get drafted. I think you see him as a 6th rounder, probably
6th.
At some time, the last day is 5th, 6th, 7th, right?
Yeah, 3rd. Yeah,
yeah. So he's a last day draft pick. If I had to put money on it, I would honestly probably go with the 49ers.
Yeah,
because I think the Patriots would think they're smarter than everybody and want to pick him up as an undrafted free agent.
Okay.
What about the Ravens?
Ravens just don't take Terps. They just don't do it. Only Torrey Smith. That's it.
Torrey Smith, Jermaine Lewis. They've taken a couple.
Or you could go to the Texans.
Maybe. I'm not going to put a prediction. I don't know who he's going to go to as far as team goes. It's going to depend on free agency and all that stuff. But I do think his ceiling as far as draft, in my opinion, late 4th, early 5th. I think his floor is like mid 6th would be like the lowest I would see him go.
Yeah, I could easily see him be a 5th rounder.
Yeah.
I don't 4th feels like a stretch, but I hope he gets it.
I think if the right team, again, you had 20 teams there looking at him, right? If the right team
They
thinks
were there
that
for
he'd
some
be the
reason.
right fit, running backs are going to go really quickly, especially now that you're starting to see some really good running backs come off the board earlier, in the draft, like, the second round and late first round where you weren't seeing that for years. You're starting to see them start to kind of climb up the board. The third round is where a cluster of them go. And then I think you might see Funk towards the end of the 4th round. I think
So right where Anthony McFarland got drafted, basically, right?
Yeah, somewhere similar to that. I think he might be a couple slots, in my opinion, ahead of Anthony McFarland.
Is Matt Canada just going to go pick him up too, or are we all just going to stack the Steelers with Terps running backs?
I don't really care where he ends up. I just hope he has a good career. I don't want to see him in Pittsburgh, though. That's like the one area. I'd almost be okay with seeing him in Patriots in New England than I would be in Pittsburgh.
Little off topic, but what's going on with their running back situation? Wasn't he supposed to be a free agent?
Who?
Their starting running back.
James Conner?
James Conner.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't
seen anything about it.
Yeah.
He's free, but the running back market soon enough is going to be.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. Your mic's off.
Sorry.
Try again.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, you're good.
I think the running back market is going to be so thin this year with already being that lower cap and the uncertainty there. You're going to see guys like him, like those are the prove-it deals where you're going somewhere where there's like a clusterfuck of running backs. He's not going to.
I've been waiting for him to leave just so that McFarland gets a shot.
He probably is. I got
to at least give him a call out. Big Snack. I've seen it by a couple people. I don't know what it is. Big Snack's in the house. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if that's like a Facebook group or what's going on, but I like it. Either way, whoever it is. All right, man. So there were some things happening last week as far as recruiting goes that we were going to talk about, but we didn't because we went a little long with Jeremy on the show and whatnot. What's going on in the recruiting world for the football squad?
Yeah, so this was definitely from last week, one of the things I missed. One of the most interesting recruiting stories I can ever come up with.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Nair Graham decommits last Monday.
Nair Graham was a linebacker that had committed from New Jersey.
Yep, 3-star out of New Jersey, high-end 3-star, one of the top players in the state of New Jersey. Just decommits, never talked to anybody. The coaches didn't know what was going on.
Got to make the best decision for me. He put a couple tweets out and said that his recruit was 100% open.
So about 4 hours later, he recommits.
No, 4 hours later, the tweets disappear
the tweets
first.
disappear.
Yeah.
And 2 hours after that, he recommits, and the stories start coming out. Apparently, this guy receives a phone call from someone identifying as a Terps coach. Not sure which Terps coach they were pretending to be. Not sure if they even identified which Terps coach they were, which will be also stupid if you didn't ask who he's talking to. But the guy was told, hey, we're having these linebacker issues. We're going to be really stacked in position. We don't have any room for your scholarship. You should decommit so it doesn't look like we pulled your offer.
Right.
And so he does. And then the Terps coaches reach out and are like,
what's going on, bro?
Why are you ghosting us? What did we do? And they're like, you told me to decommit. He's like, no, we didn't. That wasn't us. Like, talk to us first. So not only was that the case, but then later it comes out that he had screenshots. Somebody was pretending to be him and asking coaches for money because he lost his phone and all this stuff, like asking like little stupid things, not like, hey, pay me $10,000 to play for the Terps.
I need $20 for a taxi.
I need $20 because I lost my phone and I can't get a new one until tomorrow. It was like shit. This dude's getting totally catfished completely.
Yeah.
So originally when I thought it was the whole like phone call thing, I'm thinking, who is this? Is this James Franklin in Penn State trying to get under our skin?
Right.
Is this, our new coach at Rutgers trying to get his players to stay home? But now I'm thinking he pissed somebody off at his high school and they're fucking winning.
Right.
Like somebody just don't like you.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the weirdest stories I've ever heard. But again, Nair Graham was a important piece for this linebacker core coming in, especially if you're going to have to start the year with a banged up Lewis, who's got the knee issue. They're not 100% sure if he's going to miss time or not, yet or not.
Yeah, so what Lewis might be into the 2022 class with
Nair
Graham is what you're saying.
Right, yeah. Exactly. All right, so in other news, it's kind of small news, but we talk about the quarterback position all the time and having enough depth there. I know we've got some guys that are, not under scholarship that are there. We do have the kid coming from VMI who's lighting the world on fire up there.
Actively playing, which is terrifying.
Doing very well, but unfortunately he's going to be coming here and have to learn on the fly because he's just not going to be able to be here through practices and spring and everything. So he's got to wait for that season to end. They did end up getting another preferred walk-on. Quarterback Ryan Dwell, 6'3", 205 pounds. Tell me a little bit about this kid.
This is a kid, 4.3 GPA, so you're probably able to get him in here on a full ride academically,
right?
And therefore you don't have to waste the scholarship. I wasn't overly impressed by his tape. The highlight tape was mostly first read touchdowns and wide open receivers, so I'm a little bit questioning what defenses he was playing against, but the kid had a strong arm, obviously smart. We need signal callers. Like you said, we only have the VMI quarterback transfer and Talia as scholarship quarterbacks. We do have our non-scholarship quarterback last year that looked pretty good, but we just need bodies. I mean, we've had so many decommit.
Appreciate that, George.
So many people move on to lower level football. So many people with injuries that careers ended that you just need bodies in that quarterback room.
Right.
So it's good to get that this late in the market for 2021.
Yeah, again, just got to have depth there. You don't want to be getting into your linebacker core like we have in the past that go out there.
He looks like he's got a good frame. He's obviously coachable, so maybe he'll be something someday, man.
Right.
We can see what we got.
Well, the important piece to your quarterback group is keeping them up, right, and having a good offensive line. And obviously, about 2 months ago at this point, we knew that we were going to end up losing Johnny Jordan, who ended up transferring out, and I think he went to, was it Virginia Tech? Yeah, he ended up going to Virginia Tech.
Land.
So that leaves a hole at the middle of the offensive line, but the Terps were able to get a new piece this week.
Yeah, this is a 2022 commit, I believe. Colton Deary, 6'3", 275, 3-star center. Also played some DT, but it sounds like he's coming in as our center.
Right.
Offers from Air Force, Albany, Akron. Rumor has it he just wanted to be offered by somebody that didn't start with an A, so Maryland came around.
Sounds about right.
And they decided to sign with us.
I mean, everything that I saw on this guy as far as tape goes looks good. He's got good size. Like right away, I think this kid could play young. We're going to need him to play young because unless we get another transfer in here going into next year, I mean, he's going to be the guy, right? We don't have anybody that I know of on the roster right now that could be a potential starter at center in 2022.
No, I don't know of one. Most of his highlight tape seemed to be at offensive guard and DT. There wasn't a lot of him playing center, but apparently he has played some. It's hard to get highlight as a center because you're basically snapping the ball and holding your man still. Like there's not a lot of action. Right. So the pulling guard tapes look a lot better. But with this offer list, with the service academies, I love seeing that, especially from like quarterback, center, like play calling type positions where you have to keep up things because it usually is really high academically to get in. You got intelligent people, driven people, and that's what you need in these positions.
All right, so overview with the decommit, recommit, our new commit. Where does this put our ranking with this class?
So we're 21st in the country for the 2022 class. Fifth in the Big Ten.
Got it.
Which is still fifth in the Big Ten East.
Yeah.
Which is
Big Ten
unbelievable.
East is stacked.
And then the Big Ten East is a weird mix. So, of course, you expect Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan being ahead of us. How is Rutgers still ahead of us?
Yeah.
I mean, you got your new coach, Greg Schiano, up there. So it's a
doing something
new shiny name, and hopefully that'll fall apart soon.
Car wash is raising some money.
Yeah. I mean, strippers, maybe.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
It's a lot of elbow work for a gang sign. 2-minute warning.
Oh, man. All right, Ryan, it's time for the 2-minute warning. And being that you are in the junior chair today,
Okay.
you are going to start off.
All right, sounds good. Me and Mo got this.
All right, man. James, what do we got?
Drew's going to take it.
All right. March Madness is upon us. Thank God this year we get March Madness.
Don't ask me that.
Who do you have winning the whole thing?
The Terps, obviously.
Oh, here we go.
The Terps are the best team there is. We're going to win. We're going to beat Alabama round 2, and we're going to beat Texas round 3, and we're going to win the whole thing. No, honestly, I probably would take the Illini. I think Cockburn's going to take it down this year. I think DeSumo is one of the better guards in the country.
Thanks for the proper pronunciation.
And Cockburn, no silent CKs out here, will take down the national championship.
All right, so I'll stay Big Ten, and we're going to go with that rival. I think it's going
don't say it.
I think it's going to be Michigan, man. They're built to do it. They've got good backcourt play, as we talked about. Their point guard, he's the little Energizer Bunny, and they've got a ton of size. I know the issues that Howard and Turge had. Howard is a good coach, regardless. Either way, I think Michigan and maybe wild card. I'll go with Jeremy Kahn's UConn. We'll see.
And then the next
first
one
round
is,
loss for the Terps.
I don't know if you heard or not, but do you guys care, or would you guys watch the Lamar Odom Aaron Carter celebrity boxing match?
If they have actual boxing rules and not all this headgear, not allowed to hit in the head, don't do anything, I'll watch anybody famous fight anybody famous. If we play actual boxing, like, that sounds awesome. Let's bring back Celebrity Deathmatch. Let's go.
So, yeah, I would watch it if it was Celebrity Deathmatch in a fucking claymation formation. I would watch that.
Anything.
That would be entertaining. Did you not see Nate Robinson look like a fucking dumbass being out there in that boxing match with Logan? No, I don't want to see another one of those shit show fights. Now, if you get two old fighters like the Tyson and the whole Roy Jones Jr. thing together again, I'll watch that, because these are two guys that at least at one point knew what the fuck they were doing in a boxing ring. I have no interest in watching that one. So
stay tuned for After Hours, where we set up the Ryan Fred Celebrity Deathmatch for you guys.
Yeah.